Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds, and I'm here with Keith, co-star of my upcoming film, If, only in theaters May 17th. Do you want to tell people the big news? All right, I'll do it. Sign up now and you'll get unlimited for $15 a month and 6 months of Paramount Plus Essential Plan on us. MintMobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 equivalent to $15 per month. Unlimited over 40 gigabytes per month. Face lower speeds. Videos at 480p. Active Mint customers by 531.24 get 6 months of Paramount Plus Essential Plan. Auto renews after 6 months. Offer ends May 31st, 2024. Separate Paramount Plus registration required. Terms and conditions apply if rated PG.
My brand new book, Midwife Pip's Guide to a Positive Birth, is now available. So much more than a book. This is a guide that allows me to hold your hand through your birth preparation journey. With over a decade of experience and knowledge packed in to ensure you really are empowered in the way you deserve to achieve a positive birth, regardless of the twists and turns that crop up. Make sure that you get your hands on Midwife Pip's Guide to a Positive Birth book now and are empowered to have the birth experience that you deserve. Hello, I'm Pip, and welcome to the Midwife Pip podcast, the home of expert information and real chats on all things pregnancy, birth, and beyond. I feel like the term self-care has become a bit of a buzzword. We hear it everywhere. And yet, for many of us, myself included, we can't tangibly action it into the realities of our lives. On this episode, we'll be unpicking exactly what it is and exploring the secrets to benefiting from it whilst navigating our day-to-day. I'm excited to be joined by this week's guest, Emma Benyon. Emma is a self-care and motherhood coach and educator, supporting busy mums who are juggling the school run with a job and building a business with the tools to be less overwhelmed and have more balance, energy, and clarity. Emma's mum to a 6-year-old and a qualified NLP, mBIT, and practical magic coach, and full-time post-16 educator. She is the editor of the Positive Wellbeing Zone for Mums and host of Self Care and Motherhood Edit podcast. Her passion is to support busy mums to have more time and energy for all the things they enjoy and to have the tools to support and nurture themselves. So hello, Emma, and thank you so much for joining me this evening on the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I can't wait to pick your brains because I feel like this is a topic that, as mums, we need more of, don't we? We need to normalise it. We need to actually action it rather than just talk about it. But tell me, Emma, take me back. What led you to dedicating so much of your work and time now to self-care for mums?
So ultimately, it comes from my own experiences. So I have a 6-year-old, and I actually started my business and supporting mums when she was 4 weeks old, which is a crazy time, I guess, to kind of start that process. And I guess that, that part of my journey, so the business, really gave me that element of self-care. And prior to becoming a mum, I was, and still am, working full-time as a teacher and was also running a previous business and was so in that cycle of do, work, and wasn't really resting and was just, hitting burnout. And actually, after my daughter was born, I really struggled with my mental health. And again, burnout, doing all the things, then returning to work and juggling a different chapter of parenthood, trying to build my business and working and still hitting burnout. And I came to, I guess, that kind of point where I realized there had to be something else and there needed to be something that I could do to really, I guess, prioritize where I was at and how then I was able to be a better version of myself. And I think that phrase is kind of bandied around quite a lot when we talk about self-care. And when I talk about that in kind of my version of self-care and how I approach it as a self-care coach is actually that, yes, we want to be the best version of ourselves, But ultimately, what does that mean? And for me, when I work with clients, it's actually about having the energy to show up, having the patience when we're dealing with those difficult situations. So whether it is our baby crying or our toddler having a tantrum, or like last night, my 6-year-old did not want to go to sleep, 2 hours of bedtime. And, being able to navigate those situations, but also just feeling, calmer, feeling more relaxed, not feeling like we are on the go all of the time. And so self-care for me, and ultimately kind of my learnings from self-care, which is what I share and what I try to kind of encourage other mums to engage with in relation to self-care, because it is such a buzzword, and it has all that negativity attached to it, doesn't it? That we have to wade through all of that before we can even start to deal with actually, what does this mean for me? That actually we need to keep it simple. And so in my journey, I started to introduce some really simple self-care practices that ultimately then led me to this point where I wanted to coach mums, and realizing that actually on this journey, self-care is my absolute passion, because without that, we don't function the best that we can. And ultimately that's about, as we do with our phone, as we do with our laptop, as we do with our plants, our cars, like we fill them up with energy, whether that's fuel, whether it's electricity, whether it's water, like we top that energy level up. And actually, if we're not doing that for ourselves, then where does that leave us? And often that's exhaustion, depletion, burnout. So ultimately, what I do now really came from those own lived experiences, and really, I guess developing that toolkit that through different coaching modalities, but also through my own personal lived experience, actually can really support mums to access self-care in a way that feels easy, that feels simple, feels accessible, not in the way that it's often bandied about, as a buzzword.
Yeah, I love that, because like you say, sometimes you're like, yeah, self-care sounds fantastic. I would love to do all this stuff, but how, when, how's it actually going to work? So how do you, Emma, how do you define self-care that is achievable to new mums, busy mums, the juggle?
So I think when we think about self-care, it's really important to look at what it isn't and what it shouldn't be. So from my perspective, it shouldn't be something that costs money. It shouldn't be something that we're really having to box in a certain amount of time to do. And I think often when people talk about self-care, it's like, we'll go and do an hour at the gym, or go and have your spa day, or go and do this. And those are really kind of generalized examples. However, they're probably the most common ones that as mums we're used to seeing, that actually, come and get your nails done, come and get your hair done. And by all means, those things are absolutely lovely. However, as a busy mum, as a new mum, when you're juggling all of those plates, actually looking at it from a space of, okay, what is accessible to me right now? And how can I add that into what I'm already doing?
Yeah.
So for me, self-care should always be simple. It should be easy. It should be accessible. And also it gets to be fun. Like, it doesn't have to be something that we add to our to-do list that then is adding that extra overwhelm, adding that extra pressure, adding that extra stress, because our lives are already so busy. We don't need to be adding anything extra to that at all. Yeah. So it's about fitting in those really micro moments that are accessible for us to do every day. If we miss a day, doesn't matter. We just pick it up again tomorrow when we remember. And it's coming at it from that, I guess, that pace of ease and flexibility, rather than this, I must do this because somebody says I should do this.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Emma, we hear a lot about things like overwhelm and burnout. And I'll be honest, I feel like I didn't quite understand those terms massively until I was a mum for the first time. And my goodness, overwhelm hit me like a ton of bricks. And before I knew it, I was absolutely the definition of burnout, 100%. Why do you think that these things are impacting mums so much nowadays?
I think because there's just so much, isn't there? Like, there's so much to do. Yeah, so much pressure, so much expectation. And I guess we don't have the same support network for a lot of families. Like, they don't have the same support network that maybe our parents or grandparents had around them. And mums have gone back to work, or that family dynamic has changed. And there's just so much all of the time, isn't there? Like, you know, if I think back to Christmas, like that month of you've got the nativity, you've got this, school needs this, they've got fancy dress this day, they've Christmas lunch this day, and then you need to be here at this point, and then there's a kids party, and then there's a family event, and it just piles up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then you've got stuff at home, and then you've got, and it's just continual, isn't it? It's like, I guess, being a hamster on a hamster wheel, and it's just go, 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 go all of the time. And I guess for most of us, it's very difficult to remove a lot of that because actually we lead busy lives. Society is busy. We're on the go all of the time. You know, people can access us all of the time. And it's hard, isn't it, to then be actually, I guess, to put those boundaries in place to be actually, this is where I draw the line. This is what I need in order to not just, I guess, protect myself, but also to protect the family dynamic, how I want to live my life. And that might change in different seasons of motherhood as well. You know, what boundaries we put in place where we can as a new mum might be very different to what we put in place when our kids are 6 or 15, etc., etc. And I think just life is just so busy that actually that kind of capacity, we can reach it quite quickly because we are just on the go all of the time. And there's always something else to do. There's always something else that's being sent home, or there's always something else that's happening. And it just gets too much. And then you add in perhaps not sleeping enough and all of the other stuff. And actually that exhaustion, depletion, and ultimate burnout is just that kind of vicious cycle.
I often think like when something happens and we suddenly have that burnout moment or like explosion because we're burnt out, we often feel like it was that one thing, don't we? Like it was because my husband didn't put that plate in the dishwasher. But in reality, of course, it's not that thing. It is that like 24 hours, like you say, of like almost mini burnout injuries that have kind of compounded. And that one thing is just tips us over, doesn't it? And I think, you know, as mums, as new mums, setting boundaries is something that feels really awkward and really difficult. But there's nothing I respect more than when someone's like, do you know what, I can't do that. I just cannot commit to this today because my well-being is just, you know, it's just not there. I'm feeling really overwhelmed with X, Y, and Z. And like, I'm always like that. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think we need to normalize that a bit more, is actually being like, do you know what? I'm not feeling like I've got capacity to take that extra thing on right now.
No, I totally agree. And I think we're so used to, aren't we? Especially if we've had maybe busy careers before, and we're used to being accessible, and we're used to saying yes, because actually there wasn't that commitment and that, I guess, priority before. And our life's completely changed now. There's a baby, a child.
And we just always want to please people, don't we? We feel like we need to say yes.
And actually saying no can feel really uncomfortable, can't it? The more you get into the habit of doing that, like, no, I can't do that right now, or I can't do it yet. Can we just wait? Can we do it a different day? And I guess it's reframing that, isn't it? That actually I'm not doing it right now. It doesn't mean it can't happen next week or the week after. Like right now, actually my priority needs to be this. And I guess that's where we look at balance as well, isn't it? Actually, that our balance of how, you know, our family life is, our career is, our business is, whatever context. And actually those scales are never going to be even. You know, it might be really good one week, and then the next week something else gets thrown and you're like, okay, actually this bit needs to take priority right now. And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think it's being okay with that, isn't it? We sometimes have this real perfectionist nature that we have to do everything. And actually sometimes good enough is okay. Like actually just being good enough is plenty. We put so much pressure on ourselves. And I often think that the societal expectation of mothers and the physiological need of mothers are so miles apart in terms of, you know, society expects us to have immaculate homes and be nourishing ourselves and be out at a coffee shop with a baby with like immaculate hair and makeup. And yet we live in a world where women have got careers and their family don't live around the corner anymore. And there's a massive lack in support, and you suddenly find yourself at home 6 hours after you've had a baby wondering what on earth to do with it. And it's such a different shift generationally in support downhill, and yet the expectations of mums have kind of shot uphill. And it's no wonder that we then find ourselves in this massive bubble of kind of overwhelm and burnout and exhaustion. How important, Emma, is self-care practice in kind of breaking those barriers, I suppose, and improving that?
If you're struggling to lose weight, you've probably heard about weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound, and you might be wondering if they're right for you. Meet PlushCare, a leading telehealth provider with doctors who are there for you day and night to partner with you in your weight loss journey. If you qualify, they can safely prescribe you medication from the comfort of your own home. To get started, visit plushcare.com/weight-loss. That's plushcare.com/weight-loss. plushcare.com/weight-loss.
Really important. And I know it's dead easy for me to sit here and say that, and people listening will be like, oh, come on, Emma, like, I get it. I get that it's important. Like, can you stop saying it? I get it. And I think we all know that it's important and we know the benefit that it's going to give us. But the massive barrier there is time, isn't it? And actually finding something that's achievable. So I think when we think about it being important, let's think about how the energy that we get, the nourishment that we get from doing those simple self-care practices, how that's going to add to how we navigate our day, how we navigate that week. Let's think about how, we respond in situations if we are resourced, if we have that energy. How much better we might sleep if we're resourced, how much better we might be able to, if we run our own business, how much better we might be able to do that, how much better we might show up for our children, for our partners, for our friends. And ultimately, it's important because we deserve to care for ourselves. And if we flip that and it was our child who was struggling, we would be saying to them, come on now, let's do this because this is going to help. And I think it's really, hard for us as mums and parents, because ultimately, and as adults, because we want to have all the answers, we want to get things right first time, and we want to be able to be like, I've got it, this is right, this is what I'm doing. And, we want to be able to do that. And actually, sometimes we just need to ease into that support, ease into trying something. And I guess ease into that trust that actually doing this and trying this, as we do with our children, that encouragement, that kindness, that compassion, that actually one of those things, whatever that self-care practice is, and I know I've gone off on a bit of a tangent now, but whatever that is going to help us, even if it's just minimal. And so when we think about the importance, actually, there's elements there of it's important because it's important that I care for myself, but also it's important that I care for myself because, my business needs me, my children need me, my partner needs me. And actually, you and them deserve the very best version of you. And, just adding those really simple little things in, which I'm sure we'll come on to talk about some of those really practical tools, like they can make such a massive difference. And it does not need to take a massive amount of time and add to that, extra pressure of, well, if I do this because I know it's important, because I need to be resourced. And actually, if it doesn't work, then I failed. And it's, actually, you've gifted yourself the time to do that. And if that isn't the right self-care practice, fine. Doesn't matter. You tried it. Let's try something different, or let's change it up a bit. And reframe that as, if your child was trying something and it didn't work first time, or it didn't work in the way that they'd hoped, actually, you'd give them solutions to help them and you'd problem solve that with them. We need to be able to do the same for ourselves. And I guess come at it with kindness and compassion.
I love that, because I think especially for new mums that will really, really resonate. You think, how much time do you spend as a new mum checking that your baby's got, the right number of clothes on for the temperature, and that they've had enough milk, and that they've been to the toilet enough, and that you've given them enough eye contact or stimulated them enough and met all of their needs. And yet we do such bare minimum for ourselves. Like, when did we allow ourselves to become such a lacking priority when our role is huge in society? Like these little people are entirely reliant on you and you being well, and we role model to our children, don't we? Oh my goodness. I've started doing some yoga in the evenings now that I'm very pregnant, and my toddler now will go, Mummy, t-shirt off, because I typically do it in a sports bra, and he's like, Ogre, Ogre, because he can't quite say yoga. So he's like, Ogre, Mummy, Ogre. And it's like, I feel really proud that actually by me implementing a degree of self-care, he now recognises that he really likes moving his body in that way and celebrating what his body's capable of. So, and we'll do it and say, look how strong we are, and, look how kind we are, and, just try and create that kind of positive messaging. But I think we are such powerful role models as well. And we all want, as mothers, our children to grow up in a society where there isn't a pandemic of mental health and burnout and exhaustion. And ultimately that begins with us, doesn't it? And us showing them that actually there is a different way and you're important and you matter.
Absolutely. And I love that because, if we can role model that for our children and them seeing that they deserve that, but also seeing the impact that taking care of ourselves has on us and how we respond. I had a conversation with my 6-year-old last week, and we were talking about what does mummy do for self-care, and she reeled off this list, and one of them was going to the gym. And I said to her, so is mummy a better mummy when mummy goes to the gym? And she was like, yes. I was like, there was like an absolute yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it, that actually what they pick up and what they see us do and how that will then impact on them in terms of, she's seeing me get stronger because I'm going to the gym. And, I never thought I would ever enjoy going to the gym at all. Actually, that for me is now fundamental, non-negotiable. And I'm lucky that I have the support in order to be able to go and do that. But her seeing the impact that has for our relationship and how I show up for her, is incredible. And that, I think that role modeling, like what that is going to teach her about how she can be strong, how she can care for herself, whether she decides to go to the gym or not. But like that, evidence of like, mummy, I can see the difference that it makes when you go and take that time for yourself.
It's mad, and they pick up often on more than we do.
Yeah.
I know when my toddler's having a difficult day, often it's not him at all, it's me. It's that I'm in that kind of overwhelm, burnout kind of spectrum, I suppose, or that my anxiety's raised, and that has a profound impact on them. They so pick up on all of that, don't they? They're so intuitive, our children. So Emma, everyone listening is thinking what I'm thinking. You sold it, self-care is great. we all want to do it more. We all want to implement it. What should we do? Tell us practically what we can do.
So what we do is we start simple, like super, super simple. So if we can add in 2 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever we have got within our daily routine.
And everyone has got 2 minutes, guaranteed,
2 minutes.
because everyone spends more than 2 minutes scrolling social media. Yeah. Or, doing something slightly pointless. We've all got 2 minutes.
Yeah, or whatever it is, even if it is, we get to the school run earlier or get to nursery 2 minutes earlier and we just sit in the car and we just breathe for 2 minutes. Like just take some really deep breaths. Like, that is going to calm our nervous system. That is going to help us then go into that next chapter of our day, hopefully feeling nice and calm, nice and grounded, so we can deal with whatever comes at us. It's about, if we're doing the chores at home, let's put some music on. Let's dance while we do the laundry or while we, make tea. Let's put an audio book on in the car. For a lot of mums who absolutely loved reading before, they became a mum, and they might have maybe read a book a week or a couple of books a month. And actually now that they are a parent, that doesn't fit in their life right now. And so that kind of falls to the wayside. But actually that practice was so fundamental to supporting them. Let's change it up. Let's try reading a page, a couple of pages. Again, let's get to the school run 5 minutes earlier and sit and read a page rather than scrolling on Instagram. Yeah. Or whatever we might do, or let's listen to an audiobook, but that's whatever it is, it's in this season of motherhood, this space you're in now, and it might not be a self-care practice that you use forever. It might be a completely new one that you never tried before. It might be changing one that you already did previous. Actually, it's about the here and now that we're in. and what we need in this moment, rather than, I need an hour to do this. Well, actually, that might not be achievable right now. So let's try this instead for 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at our routine. So a really good example from kind of what I do for self-care now is I brought in a journaling practice just before Christmas, and obviously kids are off school, and I wasn't at work, so great, I can journal in the morning, and there's no kind of, doesn't really matter, it just, I can do it, doesn't matter if people aren't dressed because it's Christmas, it's fine.
Yeah.
However, then when I'm back to work, well, actually journaling in the morning while I've got the school run, and get me and a 6-year-old out of the house in the morning is, by 7:30 is chaos most mornings. And actually journaling, and that I'm not in the right frame of mind, it just adds to that to-do list. So I brought in doing it when I got to work. So when I got to my desk at work, after I'd done the rush of the morning, the school run, etc., get to work, get my cup of tea, and then just sit at my desk and spend 2 minutes reflecting on the day before, like 2 little questions, and then setting my intentions for that day. And that just really allows you to feel grounded, just to calm into that next chapter. And also you're still getting that self-care benefit from it, just in a different way. And it's not always, when we think about self-care, about doing more. Like, there's add to what we're already doing. So if we go to put the kettle on to make a brew, let's take a couple of deep breaths.
I love one of the things, Emma, that I've started to try to do is, I always found that for some reason, whenever I go up the stairs, I'm in a rush. I don't know why. It might be something that just going up to get a toy or put some laundry away. But there's this thing, like, I have to run up the stairs, like ridiculous. So I now make sure that I go up the stairs really slowly. And it's like a silly little thing. But rather than then my nervous system being 100 miles an hour, because actually it takes me 15 seconds. You haven't got a massive staircase longer. Actually, just those little moments of extra micro stress that we put on ourselves that save us 10, 15 seconds in a day actually really mount up, don't they, in terms of our nervous system always being firing.
Yeah, and I think, if we can add in those little things, like even if we work from home, coming in, sitting away from our desk and eating our lunch away from that environment, sitting and eating our breakfast in the morning, like just those little things that are going to add in a nourishing way and fill up that energy tank, that actually are not costing us any more time and not adding to that to-do list. And, all of the suggestions that we both made, they're going to work for some people, they're not going to work for other people. Try and see, because we are all at different chapters. We're all at different seasons in our motherhood journey. And that might be where we're at in this week, this month, this year. And also where we're at in our life as well, not just in terms of how our children are growing and developing. And so what we need right now is going to be different, and it's going to be different for different people. And so just try a range of different things and just see what works. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You still gifted yourself that time. You still tried to see if that was the one thing that would help you. And actually, it might be that right now that one thing isn't the thing that actually you need, and there's something else. But we need to try, and we need to kind of experiment with that. I always treat it as it's a bit of an experiment. It tries to remove some of that pressure and expectation. Then actually, let's just see what happens. Let's just be curious about how that might make me feel. And if it's not right, then it's not right. We change it up or we try something different.
Yeah, especially to start with, I think if it is something that is really new to you, that kind of experimental approach is really nice, isn't it? Actually, do you know what? I'm going to use 2 minutes every day, and today maybe I'm going to light my favorite candle and watch it and drink a cup of tea, or, silly but really important little things, which I think is really reassuring for parents, mums, busy people, whoever, to hear that actually it is a tangible thing you can do. And it seems almost too simple to be impactful, but it absolutely is, isn't it? And it protects us physically and psychologically, because we know that those constant micro stresses are really bad for our physical health as well as our psychological health. So it really is so multifaceted in terms of the benefits. And I think it's something that, we really need to talk about more and allow ourselves to actually be like, do you know what, for the next 2 minutes, no, I'm not doing that. Actually, I'm doing this. And this is rest is productive too. Self-care is productive too. Often we're on this treadmill of productivity and achievement and go, go, go. But actually this is an element of productivity.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you need to feel like you need that productivity achievement level, you know, write down all the self-care practices that you've done. If that's going to help you. If it's not, don't do it, you know. Yeah. And I think also with that self-care approach is, you know, invite our children to enjoy that with us too. You know, if we're at home and it's tea time and actually, you know, we're on the go from the morning till they go to bed, try and find those pockets of time within that you can just take a breath, drink your cup of tea, listen to part of a podcast, put a song on, you know, add those little bits in. Let's keep it so simple, because all of those fancy bits, they can come afterwards. Just need to do the simple bit first.
Oh, I love that. So much wisdom, Emma. Now, everyone that comes on the podcast, I ask for 3 top tips. So I know you've given us lots of tips already, but what would be your 3 kind of main ones, even if we've kind of sort of touched on them already?
So I think my 3 main tips in relation to self-care would be to keep it simple, keep it fun, and absolutely notice the difference that it makes to you. And whether you want to write that down or ask your children, like I did with my daughter.
They'll always be honest.
They will, absolutely. Brutally honest sometimes. But just, you know, ask or notice the difference that it's making, because even those small pockets of 2 minutes, those micro moments, will absolutely make a difference.
Oh, Emma, thank you so much. It's been so wonderful to speak to you, and thank you for sharing the wisdom. And I hope that everyone listening today finds their 2 minutes and allows themselves to actually start to prioritise in the way that we deserve to be as mums.
Before I head off, I need to tell you something. 68% of you who listen to my show have not hit the subscribe button. So can you do me a favour? And if you've ever enjoyed listening, hit subscribe now. It makes a huge difference, helping me to keep bringing you episodes. And together, we can then reach and empower more women on this journey. If you are a pregnant or newly postpartum listener and are looking to have the healthiest, most positive and informed journey, then my exclusive Your Pregnancy and Your Postnatal Journey courses may be for you. I work with a select number of women in a bespoke way, with unlimited access to me and my expert team for the most transformative level of support at this important time in your life. We only get one shot at getting this time right. So to get in touch and find out more, head to midwifepip.com.